Change gon' come. I feel like that's a kind of an energy theme with Aries new moon tonight. Been thinking about it a lot today. And Spirit said, you know what? Do a video where you kind of talk about how you set your intentions during new moons. Because I realize a lot of you are, you've either been wanting to, or you already have been working with the moon energy. And I don't know, some of you tell me that it helps when I tell you about what I do. So I'm going to do that in my wickedly divine feminine way today, tonight, whatever way you want to call it. So I was thinking about like the Aries new moon. Aries energy and Aries season is very much like if you think about the houses in astrology and you think of them as a house, I usually put Aries as the mirrors in a house because its first house is it's our rising sign and it's like our ego. It's our identity. It's a lot of that humanness, but it's also like believing in yourself. Sometimes the shadows of that stuff too, the where you have self-doubt and things of that nature. But it really brought me into a place where it was like, okay, like new moon energy, Aries energy, believing in the self, right? And there's been a lot of themes of that coming up to Aries season. And so I was thinking about like what intentions do I want to set for this Aries new moon? It's kind of the speaking of the zodiac, it's the new year, you know what I mean? It's starting over of the 12 signs because Aries is first. Both the baby and the emperor is an interesting dichotomy. So I think about things that have to do with like rebirth, but also stability and like that magic of the newness. Like the Fool card in tarot is also sometimes associated with Aries because Aries often has that ability to like start off on a new adventure and they're okay walking down the path safely or like jumping off the cliff and growing wings on the way down or they might just sprout a pair of wings and fly off the cliff without needing to grow a pair on the way down. Like that's kind of the beauty of Aries energy. And it's also that energy of like I mean think about the springtime like all the seeds that have been waiting over all that like dark womb like winter season and stuff like they start sprouting, they start coming out of the ground, the sun is out more, it's warmer, people start coming out, and it's definitely that time when like seeds planted over the fall and the winter and things like that start to sprout. And so I think about a lot of the things that have happened and a lot of the seeds that I've planted and the seeds that got planted that I didn't necessarily intend to plant, but that they were there. And I come into that energy. Like I think about what is this moon energy, right? So we've got the moon in Aries, which means the sun is also in Aries because the new moon's always the same as the sun sign is in. And we've got this beautiful like double Aries energy, that ram energy. And it would be easy to go into intentions of like power and fire and things like that. But what about going into intentions of that Aries energy of like beautiful rebirths, like benevolent rebirths and new births and like seeds that sprout and grow to beautiful plants that you can then harvest and include them in your cooking. Like I love growing peppers and tomatoes and carrots and things like that because I can use them in stuff that I make. And for me personally, like I might look around at what stuff is going on in my life. Like court is coming up on Monday for my youngest, and it's like it would be nice for like it to be a fresh moment. I would like to feel fresh going into it. I would hope that like maybe we're one of the earliest to see the judge, so there haven't been so many other cases that have been there, and like I hope that my kid's dad is in a fresher place and like ready to work with things because like Aries is also like I read something earlier about it. Like Aries does not necessarily want to be the leader. They just don't want to be a follower either. It's kind of a it's its own dichotomy in a way. And so it's one of those like having control and releasing control at the same time, like being willing to compromise. Like Aries fits in with the other zodiac signs just as all the other zodiac signs fit in with Aries. Like we are all individuals and yet we are also a collective. And so like my intentions is like how can we work with that beautiful Aries energy and all the other zodiac energy that comes in because if nothing else the moon moves signs every 2.5 3 days. And I know that there's also going to be some solar flares coming up over the next few days. So it's lining up, like the 3 days before and the 3 days after with the moons tends to, that energy is strongest in there. So we're also seeing solar flare energy in there, which makes sense. Aries is a fire sign. So it's like, in one hand, you might think about fire as like destructive, but fire also brings us warmth. And it's also, I mean, it fits together with electricity. It brings us light, right? It brings us enlightenment. It brings us inner warmth. It can help us cook our food and heat things up and stuff like that. So it's like for me, I'm thinking about that warmth, and I'm thinking about that freshness of like when my children were born, right? Like that's that Aries energy, like that birth. And I'm thinking about like the good qualities of the emperor, like the stability, the clarity, the balance, the give and take, or not so much the take, but like the reciprocity, and the honor of that sort of a position. And because Aries is a masculine sign, and like pretty much any card and other element associated with it is very masculine, like I'm also thinking about like the positive values of masculine energies, the ability to take action when needed, but also to sit in the moment and not have to force things, and like that balance between masculine and feminine. And I'm also just thinking about like it's funny. It's that inner peace. Like when I look at the Emperor card, like he doesn't seem like he's in a rush to do anything. Like he sits in his throne. He knows it's his throne. Nobody's challenging that it's his throne, and he doesn't need to be like a tyrant. You know what I mean? He doesn't need to be flashy or showy. Like he is the Emperor, and like that comes with great responsibility. But like all things, we have a choice in how we consider that. Like you could consider responsibilities to be a burden, or you could consider responsibilities to be a privilege that you're grateful for. And I lean into that energy. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, there's a lot of responsibilities in the world, and like having kids and dealing with other people and systems and things like that. There's a lot of responsibilities in there, but I would much rather face them and say, you know what, I'm grateful for them and I want them, than to go back into a world where it's like, oh, poor me, I've got all this, like, this burden and responsibility, and how am I supposed to do it all? Like, for one thing, I've already been there. And for two, like, that energy doesn't get us anywhere good. You know what I mean? It's not even like, is it true or not true? It's like, is it manifesting what you want? Because Aries is very much beautiful manifesting energy. At least it can be if you choose for it to be. And it's also a lot to do with the newness of love. And so I think about that, like love for my kids, love for myself, love for all the pirates in my DM and all them too. Like, anger aside and stuff, it's there because I'd rather set my intention. Like it is like planting that seed. Like each new moon each month is a smaller moment to plant a seed. And it's like, think about it, like if you were to till the soil with your hands, like say you clear a spot, you clear all the weeds out, you clear the grass out of it, and then you use your hands. Like, what energy are you in while you're moving that soil? What energy are you in when you get the seed, whether from another plant or out of a packet, to put it in there? Like, you want to wish it well, you want to give it good energy, you want to make sure it's got plenty of space to grow and breathe and not be strangled by anything else, you know what I mean? And so, like, I think about that sort of energy, like that beautiful newness, and like, I want to say the energy of Aries, because Aries is very energetic, but not like energy in a balanced way. Like, think about the Emperor card, right? Like energy in balance. And just the, beautiful, benevolent magic that comes along with life in general. Okay, well, I know that wasn't exactly very organized, but sometimes when you're doing manifesting and magic, it's not always meant to be. If you have a moment, sit and write down like what are things that you associate with this time of year? What are things you know about the sign that it's in? What are things going on in your life, and like what intention are you setting for this next period to the, at least to the next full moon? This next one will be in Libra because the sun is in Aries, so it's always the opposite in the full moon. And that's when like the seeds that you plant right in the new moon will be like heightened, and then as we towards the next new moon it'll start to fade away, and then like it still stays there, you still get that energy, but then it's time to set a new intention. All right, y'all, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Otherwise, I would love to hear your intentions if you want to share a few. And either way, thanks for liking, sharing, subscribing, following along. I'll see you in the next video.